Yes.
Okay. Got it. All right, so we were looking for the place. Talking about, I think we finished Perik test. We went to Perik Yud. Is that right? No. 1 minute. Middle Perik test. The middle Perik test. So it's one of those days I'm going to talk to an empty screen.
I'm here if you're talking.
I hear you.
Okay.
Okay. He's discussing are there averis you can't do tshuva on, and
Averis you can't do tshuva on? Like what?
he's asking, we'll stop Perik test again. Can you do tshuva from maybe avera, maybe there's some averis? Too late. He didn't know he said it's a tshuva haba. So I'm going to give you this following response. Averis nachlokas l'shnei sugim. There are two types of averis. You can split into two. One of them is averis ben adam lamalkin bovad. Exclusively an avera between you and Hashem, and hakfira beloikim. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Hihure avera machshavos resha. Mitzvahs loisa seimotelos haLevavos kankina sina. And it's interesting that he calls all these things averas. Kina, we know, it says loy titar loy tikoim. Oh, kina something else. But sina, sisna sachicha b'levavecha, okay. Chemda l'sachmoin. But these are things that are in the heart. The ikra avera is the thought. Ken habe averas hanasi de avera. There are averas also that are done with your body, with actions. Shachaita ismem overlaps that avera between you and Hashem. That's all. Vashmasa he ratzoi shehimas tzurel shalakavet. And the wrong is that you rebelled against Hashem. You didn't hurt anyone else. So between you and Hashem, you didn't listen to Hashem said. Right? The second type is averas that affect others. That chayta is doing wrong to others. What are you looking for? Here, I took it off. No, what are you looking for?
That's fine.
You want to take it?
It's right in here.
Or the gufam, whether physically to them, or the rekusham, their property, shmam, a good name. So in other words, averis that you're hurting yourself also, it's also rebellion. Every mitzvah, every averis is inherently a mitzvah. But it's also wronging someone else. Averis now. Averis v'chatoim shem bein odom uvein elu kobofat, the first group. Efshel choyte lachsavem b'tshuva. As long as you're alive, you can do tshuva. When you have an awakening, when you take to heart that you have to do tshuva, and you work to come back to Hashem from that avera.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier. Shmiras Einayim, he says in his same thing here. He says the letter of the law, the Shmiras Einayim, the logic says that you should do tshuva from that avera in the same way. We'll give an examples that you sin. So if you can, dahainu. For example, you are over on a loisa say that's in the mind. You're going to show you leivra.
A lota say what?
That's Chovos haLevavos. It's not a physical action. a thought type of thing. Like it says Levra. I guess Levra and Oisha Hira Machshavas Resha, you had thoughts you shouldn't have. Oisha over on the Tira, you're over on the Tira, holding a grudge, Kina. Right? Because Natira, I didn't see Natira, I just realized why it says Natira. Nakama is when you don't, the example is the guy asked you, someone asked for you to lend him something and you didn't lend him. When he asks you, you say, I'm not going to give it to you, just like you didn't give it to me. So that's an action, because you're not giving it to him. But Natira just is holding the grudge, where you say, you didn't give it to me, but I'm going to give it to you. Right?
Right.
So
That's also awesome, right?
that's also awesome. But that's the Chovos haLevavos. Kina, Sina, at various times. So part of the teshuva process here has to be, if you had a bad heart, start doing, good heart. Train yourself to see good by people. Instead of you seeing bad, always seeing negative things, train yourself to see the good. That's part of the teshuva process. And be forgiving when they do wrong to you. I seem to remember in the Shari Tshuva, I try Tshuva in Shah Rishon gives 20 ikram of Tshuva. And you have the first 3 that he quotes, those are the ones, that are the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of Tshuva. And then I'm just trying to find. Oh, he has a thing called the Ikar Asivi. The hate of Pa'ala to better your ways where you did wrong. In Mistaka Barayas, let's say you gazed at women, Arayas, you snag Bashachos Einayim. So now you have to train yourself not to look around, to look down, not to. If you sinned with Lashon Hara, Yasak by Torah, now use your mouth for good things. Learn Torah. Which whatever part of your body that you did Aver, you started with kind of mitzvahs, you should use them now for mitzvahs. That's part of rectifying your Aver. I guess Hashem gave you these gifts. You use them against them. So part of the teshuva now is to start using them for him. The Medrash says that tzaddikim, actually that statement, tzaddikim in that thing, with that thing that they sinned by Amos Ratzim. They now turn it and use it l'rotze. Oidamru, another medrash. If you have bundles of averos, hasei kenegda as a parallel. Do chavilas shal mitzvahs. Raglayim memarim l'ra. If you use your feet to run to do averos, the rotze is dvar mitzvah. Now there should be a special emphasis as your tshuva process when you go do mitzvahs. Run. Loshen sheker, if you are accustomed to sheker, emes yegechikos, and I go to the other extent. To be careful to speak emes. If you say you a murderer, whatever. Now be very generous. Which is called opening your hands to the poor people, giving life to them. And I'm Ramas, you were arrogant. If you had thoughts of Avera, believe me, it's my Torah. Now train yourself to think Torah. Okay, if you were someone, you were someone who caused strife between people, become someone who searches to do peace, make peace. Right? This is an aspect of the teshuva. So now it sounds like the Chovos haLevavos is referring to that idea. That when you do averos, you should do teshuva. So also by do teshuva in the same way that you sin. So again, if you can, this is they say haLevavos. You transgress one of the averos.
Is it that you're meant to seek it out, or to create the situations, or it's when you're put into the situation next time?
No, you should search out to do them, because
Create the
part of the
situations.
teshuva is that I want to fix. Like if I use my hands for wrong, I want to fix it by using it for good. So I'm going to look for situations where I could use it for good. If I use my eyes for wrong, I'm going to use it for good. Not just if it happens to me. This is, if it happens to me, everybody has to do good. But since I want to do tshuva on that specific aspect of the avera, I'm going to look. I'm going to, look to find situations. So he says, we just read this. If you had bad, in other words, you don't have ayin toiv, you think bad about people, you had thoughts of sin or doing wrong, or shavar netira, kina sina, or averis daimais, similar averis. Work on making your heart a good heart, and enjoy seeing, instead of seeing jealousy, instead of seeing hate, instead of use your heart to see good about other people. And that's expressed in being forgiving if they do wrong. And besides the fact that it says a person shouldn't be an achsa, shouldn't be cruel, if someone comes and asks you for forgiveness, you try to be able to do it. But in this case, where you're doing tshuva on having that bad heart, so it's a special thing that you should be forgiving. Should work on that to be forgiving. If your avera was one a physical thing, and also you ate treif, or shechata barais, or shechila shabbos is a moyadin, or chal shabbos and yontif, or shenishbal sheker, you swore falsely. Also, tshuva sheitzich yes by saying, vayisadav atzmi. Tshuva has to be there. Shechata by klam shishtadol asmat is a hefach shemasha also. Try to do the opposite. If you're Mechal Shabbos, now you're going to go and try to be Mekadesh Shabbos even more. You find things to beautify Shabbos, to be more Machmer perhaps, even though it's not.
How do you know if you've made it? How do you know? How do we know what point that's considered to be you did it, or is that something you have to do for every day of the rest of your life, kind of thing?
Yes and no. I hear what you're asking. It's like on one hand, it says you did tshuva and it was real, so you're finished, But on the other hand, when a person's a true Yari Shemaim, he can't just erase it and say, okay, I did tshuva, I can move on. Because he's always, as he grows, he feels that maybe he didn't do enough tshuva. There's the story with Rav Sadi Gain, I think. One of the guys, I think it was Sadi Gain, that he used to do tshuva every day. Tremendous tshuva, and they asked him, "You did tshuva already?" He says, "Yeah, but every day my comprehension of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and my obligation to Him grows, and based on my new comprehension, I have a whole new level of tshuva."
It sounds like you'll drive yourself crazy if you can't.
If you're OCD, you shouldn't do it. No, really. Look, Rav Dan Segal Mashkiach, I remember him saying, he says, if tshuva makes you depressed, you should know it's the Yetzer Hara. If you find that it's depressing, you should stop, because it's not. Even tshuva is a mitzvah. Mitzvahs have to be done with simcha. If it brings you to depression, you're doing something wrong. Stop right away. You're doing wrong. Stop. Then you can speak to Rebbe and find out what, but it's wrong. It's not a mitzvah. A mitzvah can't make you depressed. Mitzvah is mesamchei leiv. It can be. But a healthy person can live with these two things. He could be involved in a tshuva process. And again, like I said once, when I said over that 1 year, I used to learn Shari Tshuva every year with the Bachur of the Yeshiva. 1 year they said it's depressing. And I said, what's depressing? Shari Tshuva is a self-help book. It's telling you how to get better. Why is it depressing? It's telling you how do you fix yourself. So tshuva should be like, activating you. It should be, you're fixing yourself. You're getting better. And the fact that, so if you're feeling, yeah, but I can never do it, and what, so then it gets depressing. But if you know, and I did do it, and if I'm doing it more, I'm feeling better. It's all growth. Then you don't get depressed. But
All right.
for sure, if teshuva in anything is making you depressed, that means something wrong there. Okay. Yeah.
No, it's like, let's say you do something wrong to someone, right? Let's say you hit somebody, God forbid, right?
Right.
And then you go to them and you apologize and they accept it. You're not going to keep going to them after every day like, wow, I can't
No.
believe what I did to you.
No. If you got true forgiveness, you got that. But now there's all the other aspects of a teshuva process. Like he's saying here. Now, the Maisa, like we also said, that every mitzvah, is also Beinam. So now Hashem gave me my hand and I used it for wrong. It's true, I got forgiveness. But now I'm going to reach out and perhaps try to find Maisa Chesed to do and help people, like in America, help the old lady cross the street or carry her bag. I'm going to look for situations too. Then you mug her on the other side of the street, but that's besides the point. But you're going to look for situations where you could use your hands to do mitzvahs. I just read a book about the Ribnitzer Rebbe. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
I have not.
Okay, so he was like a tzaddik that lived in Russia under communists for many, many years. And he defied them totally. He was a moyel, he was a shochet. There was his commitment to Torah and mitzvahs overrode any fear that he had of the communists. And he was a person, like Mamash lived on a different sphere. He barely ate, barely slept. He learned Torah all day. He davened the whole day. He was like one of those tzaddikim, that a little bit like Rav Steinman, on a whole different sphere that we can't even appreciate.
Right.
But over there, you saw that. Like I don't remember what it was, but there was something about Shabbos that he felt he did wrong. So he took on all kind of chumras, right, as an expression that he feels he was Machal Shabbos. He wasn't Machal Shabbos by turning on a light, but he took on chumras that aren't necessary. He didn't feel depressed by that. It didn't pull him down. He felt he was bettering his avodas Hashem. I slipped there on some level, on my level. I once felt that I wasn't mamish Machal Shabbos, but I allowed myself to be a situation where I had to get out of the car and we had to walk home because of Shkia, and I felt like you had no right to get into the car in the first place. It was a lack of your appreciation of what Shabbos is. You should have realized you're not going to get to the place on time. Don't go. And because I allowed myself, so I try to be Mechabed Shabbos more than I had until now. But it's not depressing. It's energizing because I feel like I'm doing something a tikkun. I feel like I'm doing good. And on top of that, you get the Milo that you could be Mechabed Shabbos. The disciple didn't allow him to put air conditioning into his house because he, in Bnei Brak, they don't use the electricity. And he said, on Shabbos, I'm not gonna. They have batteries and stuff like that. They don't use electricity. There's a problem with the electric plants, and if it breaks, which is like gonna fix it. It's a big machlekes, but anyone who follows the Chazanish doesn't.
You use like a generator.
Use a generator, whatever. But they weren't strong enough to run air conditioning. So he said, on Shabbos, I'm going to be uncomfortable because I don't have air conditioning. During the week I have, it's not covered Shabbos, so he refused to have an air conditioner the whole week. But he wasn't suffering, because he felt he was being Mechabed Shabbos. So the whole week was Mechabed Shabbos. Everything I was doing is to give respect, to just to make the week nicer than Shabbos. For him was a problem. He couldn't do that. That wasn't a teshuva thing. I'm just saying, you're energized when you feel you're doing good, when you feel you're doing right, when you feel you're serving, that energizing. Okay, let's go. So all of this you could do, all this tikkun that he's talking about, you can do all your life. And your brain's working, your mind's there. When you're awaken, you have an awakening to do tshuva, and purify yourself from yaveres of neighbor. such a person, who transgressed just Aveira Sheben Adam Lamokim. Says in Mishlei, Im Chochamta Loch, and he explains on the bottom that it means in Nasis Chochem, if you became wise and you did tshuva, you did it for yourself. You know, you did a benefit for yourself because you fixed yourself. Aval, the second part, Averis that also to another. It's hard to do tshuva on them. Machmas Kamat Timing, and he has a whole list there of different reasons why it's harder to do tshuva. And let's do one or two of them. Achas Atamim who he talks about stealing. You stole, but you don't know where the guy is today. How are you going to return it? Oh, so the guy died. You don't know the inheritance. How are you going to pay it back? Oh, you know where the guy is, but he's far away. Now you can't get there. Okay, today it's a little easier. You need to do a bank transfer, but they didn't have that in those days. So it's harder to do tshuva because you got to return it. Void time, another reason. Perhaps you don't have anymore what you stole. You stole it and it's gone. In a situation, I can't return it. That reason. Another reason, maybe the person who you ripped off won't forgive you for the damage you caused them, even if you give it back. Too late. And you caused him a bad name. People think that he did wrong. You don't know who you stole from. You don't know how much you stole. You stole from a lot of people. You had a whole operation, and you don't really know who you stole from. You don't know exactly what you took. Void have another reason. That what you stole is now became part of, like he gives. You stole a beam of a house, and you built it into your house. To return the beam means you have to demolish your house, right? The Gemara Gittin says, "Gozo Morish." If you stole a beam, ubane bebira, and you built it into this beautiful mansion you built. So there's a machlokes b'shayim mekake. You have to take apart the house. Kol abir kolo machzim meish. You got to give it back. You want to do it? Sorry. Beis Hillel, and we pass it Beis Hillel. Even though it's a rice, you got to return what you stole. And its existence, you have to give it back. But the Rabbanan, because of a thing called Takanas Hashomin, in order to allow the tshuva process to be, it's big to ask someone. He spent $500,000 on a house, and right in the middle, there's that beam. You know, it's too much to ask from a human being to take apart his house to give back that beam. The Chazal made a takana, you could give the value.
Give the
value of the
okay, but that's like a nice ancient, scenario. But there's a lot of digital theft, and it can be done, credit card theft, and all these different things where millions of dollars from a million different people can be stolen.
Right, and that's hard to do too on that.
No, it's like, so what can someone practically do?
So look, Chazal gives certain eitzes that they're not lechatchila, but it's what you can do is to give money to public works. Well, there's been guys in our Dover who spoke to me. I don't remember anymore. What I like you say, they stole all kind of things. Whether it's shoplifting or credit card things, and they have no way of knowing what they did. So the halacha talks about things that you could do. Like I know one of the things is that you should give, estimate what you did and give it to the tzibur. Give it, for a public something. so that the public has hana from it. And in that way, you say that everybody, so those people also there. But it's certainly not lechatchila.
Sure.
That's what he's saying. That's why he's saying it's so much harder to do tshuva on such a thing. And Avera. Chofetz Chaim says one of the reasons it's hard to do tshuva on Lashon Hara, because there's no way you can remember. If he spoke Lashon Hara freely, there's no way you could figure out and remember who he spoke Lashon Hara. It's a problem. Right? It's a problem. It's a dead end, so to speak. What are you going to do? You don't remember. So, you have to tefillas in the tefillah Zakai before Yom Kippur, Zaka. You ask, Hashem should put in everyone's heart to forgive everybody, like you say that, unless it's something that I could get invested back. I'm forgiving all, anyone who did wrong for me and stuff like that. So if everybody says that, so oops. But again, yeah, we should think about these things before we do our favors. Okay, let's stop here.
All right. Zagazan, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a
Bye.
great night. Regards to your wife and Ms. Shem.